Hey, it's Jason ODB from OLP. I'm back here in the shop, and I've got a really awesome issue of Truckin Magazine here that plays a huge role, I think, in several key things. And I think it's important to go over this issue. September 78, we're not going to go through the whole issue, rather the cover, and we're going to talk about the significance of it. It plays a bigger role than you might imagine. Here's basically what we got. September 78, you had 32 issues before this issue. So when Truckin came out in summer 75, they started off that first year with basically 7 issues. Summer 75, then July, August, September, October, November, December, okay? From there, volume 2 kicked off, of course, January 76, and you had monthly publications, and you get to this one, and I've already done the math. We've got 32 issues before this issue. Now, here's the key thing. Not only is it the first cover with just one truck, or van rather, it's also the first cover with just one ride, and you guessed it, it's a mini truck. So when we look at this, and you look back at the 32 issues that came before it, basically every single one of those issues had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different vehicles on it. It almost looked like a cover of, and we'll scroll through some of these here in a minute. It almost looked like kind of an old Auto Trader or something like that. It was just a little bit different era. And what they would do is they would highlight different events, different vehicles. A couple had a motorcycle or like motocross vehicles on them. So you get to September 78, which is issue 33, I believe. This issue here, in number 1, it's got one vehicle. First time ever on Truckin', okay? Number 2, it's a mini truck. Now, the other crazy thing is, there's a skateboarder, which we'll talk about. His name is Stitch Hitchcock. Kind of a cool name. Stitch, yeah, S-T-S-K-I-T-C-H, Hitchcock. The photo was by Jeff Ruiz, and he's jumping over Dave Newman's chopped Grand Illusion Datsun, which is a real famous truck. There's a ton of work into this thing, which I think is pretty crazy. But again, not only is it Truckin' the first issue with just one vehicle, it's a mini truck, so a huge score there. And this truck has a lot of mods to it, which is pretty awesome. And again, if we look now, I'm going to try to go ahead and import here some of what I've got saved, and you'll take a look at all of these issues as we kind of scroll through them. And you'll see, again, vans, trucks, a couple of mini trucks. And technically, you'd say, hey, ODB, there was a mini truck on issue 1. There was a mini truck on issue 1. Now, here's the other cool thing. If you look at this issue, it was also the first time that a truck, I believe, was on the cover twice. And this truck was on April 78 issue, right? So that's pretty cool. So let's jump in. Enough with me slicing and dicing. These obviously are going to be not color, right? There's a lot of black and white, going back to where we were with mini trucking. And if you take a look here, champion skateboarder Stitch Hitchcock was captured by Jeff Ruiz while jumping over Dave Newman's beautiful chopped Grand Illusion Datsun. And if you take a look here at some of the staff, you've got editorial director, editor, so on and so forth. Now, there's a couple of people that actually played a role in shooting this vehicle, so I want to kind of make sure I hit on all of that. So I'm going to jump over to page 36. And when you get here, you basically are met with the black and white feature, right? So don't worry. You saw from the thumbnail possibly. There is color with this. Basically, Grand Illusion, shot by Jeff Ruiz, Paul Sadler, Jim Clark, and Craig Caldwell. Talk about tag teaming a feature. Model was Melinda Lackey. This truck is just insane, okay? And I want to go through why, right? So you might be like scratching your head going, yeah, but this is the late 70s ODB. Mini trucking to me is 80s and 90s. Yes, it is for a lot of us, okay? And it's still going on. But check this out. Dave Newman's Datsun. It's got a Pinto engine, no joke. It's a rear engine or mid-engine, right? However you want to slice and dice that. Weber carbs, Edelbrock manifold, louvered tailgate, crazy back window, VW transaxle, air shocks, graphics, chop top. Okay, you can see that there. And get this, the truck is channeled. No joke. So again, when many of us think old school mini trucking, we think 80s, 90s, let's not forget that really mini trucking started, if you read Ernie Macias, rest in peace, his article, it goes back to kind of the late 50s and even the 60s with some of the Japanese trucks. But I think we would all agree, like really, it just blasted out of the 70s from the van stuff. If you watch Ernie on the West Coast Influence, he mentions that with the high gas prices and everything. But to me, mini trucking really goes back and starts to put the flag in the ground in the 70s, and this proves it. What can I say? 2 covers, channeled, rear engine, crazy mods, nice paint, roll cage. I mean, this thing is a badass mini, and it was the first solo vehicle on the cover. I don't think it gets the credit it's due, and that's why I'm going through this issue that I've had for some time now. The other vibe that I get is kind of almost like with the tube work and the rear engine and all the mods in this thing, I just get the vibe of almost like a truck like, I don't know, like we'd see in the 90s, almost like Last Look, right? For instance. Now, granted, this isn't Last Look, don't get me wrong. There's not a crazy painted interior and all that stuff. And even, the graphics are not what Last Look is. But, I look at just kind of how maybe primitive the interior is in terms of luxuries, right? I mean, it's more like race inspired and things like that. Kind of what we saw with Last Look. You kind of catch my vibe there. But to me, the other thing that is just sick is that this thing is channeled. And again, we know that channeling goes back to the hot rod days. But when mini truckers really started picking up on it, early 90s, body drop and stuff, obviously it became one of the most important mods in our scene. Now take a look at this back window. I mean, just crazy mods. I mean, stuff that's different in the 70s, I think is important still for the kind of the legacy of mini trucking as a lifestyle, as a sport, whatever you want to call it. You got the louvers here. Again, that rear engine with the Weber carbs. And, with the rear engine, you have the front, again, with tube work and things like that. Obviously, they've got to keep this thing structurally sound with all the work that's done to it. But to me, the seats kind of are reminiscent of, again, this isn't Last Look, I get it. But it kind of gives me that reminder of what this truck has in it. And then you see the skateboarder there. Maybe the only cover, well, I'm sure there's one with a model. The guy's got no shoes on. Now, I do want to pop back over here so you have the cover, like I said there, where they call it out. But if you look here, it looks like they were doing some test runs. And I don't know if he's jumping off a trampoline. It doesn't look like he's got the skateboard there, of course. He's got the mattress. And then you could see right here how the guy's laying down. This is the way they had to do it for years. I mean, just with the old school camera. And I wanted to kind of point that out. So we'll jump back here to page 36 and we'll look at the main feature. So again, let me know what you guys think. I mean, I think Grand Illusion is a truck that if this thing came out today, it could hang with the big dogs. Sure, by every definition, every one of us are going to say, dude, that is old school. Many of you watching this, maybe you weren't even born. I was born in November 78, okay? So I technically wasn't even born when this issue came out. That's how old school it is. And part of what we do at OLP, also known as Our Lifestyle Podcast, is giving credit and showing love to the guys and the ladies that came before us that helped lay the foundation for what we love. So again, nobody's going to argue. So here's the big reveal. You flip the page and boom. Dude, there's the centerfold. You've got the 3 staples in there still. And you see Melinda Lackey, is how you say it. You've got what an aluminum wheel looks like. Graphics, some crazy mods, rear engine, the battery mounted back there. And I think Dynamic Products was one of the sponsors. Again, nobody's going to argue and say, hey, this isn't old school. This is definitely old school. But I look at this and go, dude, this is badass, man. This is badass. And again, to summarize it, you basically have 32, give or take, issues. I mean, I went through every single one of them, and you guys saw I kind of scrolled through them earlier I might flash those back up on the screen here. I'm not going to read every month, but summer 75 to July 75, those are the first two. I own that first year set. And then you get down to the nitty gritty and you say, man, dude, it's on the cover twice. It's the first Truckin cover with one vehicle on it. Oh, by the way, it's a mini truck. And if we flip back here and we look there, he says, with this editorial expected, I think we have a really exciting issue this month. Mini trucks are a hot item in every part of the country right now. Dude, kind of reminds me of now. Mini's on the rise. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment. I mean, is this truck, is it really, should it be etched in my mind and really the minds of all of us mini truckers and go, yo, this thing was huge, man. First single vehicle on the cover of Truckin, and it's a mini, it's got graphics, it's channeled, it's chopped, rear mid-engine, a skateboarder. Dude, Stitch Hancock, man. That's freaking old school right there. So, appreciate all the support. Make sure you watch more videos here if you can. And we're going to continue providing history of trucks, including mini trucks, of course, but trucks in general and Truckin, thanks to those that laid the foundation. And we really appreciate it. For those interested, there is the back cover. The good old times, Dunlop, fun rubber. Different era, my friends, different era. With that being said, everybody have a safe week. We appreciate you guys. Stay on the rise and check out the latest episode 314 featuring Brian Gendro. We at ya. Peace.